This is 9 News Early Edition with Lizzie Pearl.
Good morning. We begin with breaking news. A gunman is in police custody after going on a rampage at a school in California, injuring students and sending the surrounding area into lockdown. Police say the suspect opened fire on students near a high school in Santa Clarita, injuring at least 6 people. 2 victims are in a critical condition, and we'll bring you more on this later in the bulletin. There's breaking news in Indonesia, where a tsunami warning has just been triggered. It comes as a huge 7.4 magnitude earthquake strikes North Sulawesi, Utara and North Maluku. The quake was measured at 45 kilometres deep. Hotels have been evacuated and locals are fleeing to higher ground. There's a warning the bushfire danger in New South Wales will ramp up today and across the weekend as more warm, dry and windy conditions are forecast. After a day of reprieve, a severe fire danger rating has been issued from the far north coast down to the Illawarra-Shoalhaven region.
So again, another widespread geographic area in widespread very high severe fire dangers. That's why the total fire ban's in place. And unfortunately, it also coincides where the vast majority of our fire activity continues to burn.
It comes as New South Wales Health forecast poor air quality for the Sydney Basin today as the smoke from the north coast bushfires sweeps across the city. Well, devastated communities on the state's mid-north coast are dealing with the loss of one of their own ahead of another severe fire danger warning today. 6 days after he was last seen, the body of Barry Parsons was found metres from his fire-ravaged home west of Kempsey.
He's a local, he's a good fella, local guy, quite well known in Wollongong. It'll just touch lives really bad.
He's the 4th person to die in the bushfires that ravaged much of the mid-north coast, as authorities and residents prepare for another hit of warm weather and dry conditions. Well, in Queensland, firefighters are gaining the upper hand on a number of blazes, with around 60 still burning across the state. But with the reprieve also comes disturbing news. One of the most destructive fires we saw this week may have been deliberately lit. Nine's Mackenzie Colohan has more for us in Yeppoon, north of Rockhampton. Mackenzie, the alleged arsonist is just a child.
Yeah, that's right, Liz. Look, after a lot of speculation about just how these fires began, news yesterday that a 16-year-old local boy has been accused of starting them over the weekend. Now, these are fires that destroyed homes, forced many other families to flee their homes for days, and a fire that tore through more than 12,000 hectares, much of it prime agricultural land. So this boy, he'll be dealt with under the Youth Justice Act, but if it is proven that he was responsible for starting these fires, the burden of the devastation that he's caused here over the last week is something that he's going to have to live with for the rest of his life. Now, the Premier and the Deputy Police Commissioner were in town yesterday, and here's what they had to say.
Person who we believe is responsible for this fire, resulting in the loss of 36 structures. It's really disappointing, and it starts with parents. So parents out there with your children, talk to them about their behaviour and talk to them about the risks.
Yeah, look, now the emergency services have done an absolutely remarkable job here over the last week. In this region alone, they've managed to save 246 homes, but as we know, at least 14 have been lost, as well as 36 structures. Now, many of the 36 structures are sheds on farms who, although they haven't lost their homes, they've had their entire summer crop as well as their livelihoods wiped out. Now, these are farmers who have only just got back on their feet after Cyclone Marsha devastated this region in 2015, and farmers who have been struggling through some pretty horrendous drought conditions. Now, yesterday it was the Premier. Today, Deputy Prime Minister Michael McCormack visits the region. He'll be coming with David Littleproud. They're going to go and meet some farmers, inspect the damage firsthand, and they're expected to announce some pretty substantial financial relief from the federal government for our farmers. Back to you, Liz.
Mackenzie Colohan there for us in Yeppoon, and Queensland's Premier has been forced to defend the state's fire maps amid allegations firefighters don't have accurate information and are relying on interstate data. But Anastasia Palaszczuk says the resources are state-of-the-art, it's just the public can't see them.
They're on the front line working and volunteering to protect lives and property. But some firefighters claim they aren't armed with the most necessary of tools, critical information about exactly where bushfires are burning.
We need the government to give our fireys the right information.
There are claims the government bushfire map is basic, even inaccurate at times, with some rural fire crews instead choosing to rely on the Australia-wide bushfire maps favoured by the Western Australian government.
When comparing the online publicly available maps, the Western Australian version is far more detailed. It uses satellite technology, even breaks down how long fires have been burning for. In comparison, the Queensland map is a general indication of the situation.
But the Premier says there are two sets of bushfire maps, the publicly available simple one and far more detailed maps used by fire bosses.
It's been spot on, hasn't it? It has been spot on.
That incorporate satellites too, plus Bureau of Meteorology information and aerial observations.
We have the best mapping, we have the best firefighters, and I will not cop criticism from those people who do not know what they're talking about.
So I think there's been probably a little bit of confusion about what is a public-facing website for the public versus what our firefighters have, which is state-of-the-art.
We asked why everyone doesn't have access to the comprehensive maps.
Really complex level of training goes in to read an operational map.
Tessa Hardy, 9 News.
Melbourne wife killer Boris Rostevsky begins a new legal battle today as prosecutors try to have him locked up for longer. The 55-year-old was jailed earlier this year for between 6 and 9 years. The prosecution will argue it's manifestly inadequate. Rostevsky denied involvement in his wife Karen's death after her body was found in bushland. He admitted to the killing only after charges were downgraded from murder to manslaughter. There are renewed calls for calm this morning after the police officer charged with murdering a young Indigenous man fled the Northern Territory to return to his parents' home in Canberra. Constable Zachary Rolfe's departure has further angered many in the community. More than 1,000 people demonstrating in Alice Springs late yesterday. It's feared the killing has seriously damaged relations between the Indigenous community and police. Constable Rolfe will return to face court again next month. Well, it's been one of Queensland's greatest, most popular exports, but now Toowoomba's Weiss ice cream factory is to shut down and relocate to New South Wales. The Weiss family slamming Unilever, saying they'd never have sold to the global food giant if they'd known it would break its main promise of retaining local manufacturing operations. The relocation will put 90 workers out of a job. A Melbourne schoolgirl struck by a falling tree branch alongside two classmates has told of the terrifying moment they were crushed beneath its weight. The three classmates were walking from Mass towards their Parkdale schoolyard when a part of a gum tree crashed on top of them on Tuesday.
The branch fell. It just came down. It hit me here, in my shoulder, and my leg, and my back.
One girl remains in hospital with serious injuries after bearing the brunt of the branch, while the third student is recovering at home. WorkSafe inquiries are ongoing. We're taking a look at the weather around the country now, and Brisbane mostly sunny and 33 degrees today. A bit of smoke around this morning before sunny and 32 degrees in Sydney. Canberra mostly sunny, 25. Melbourne a few showers developing. Hobart showers and windy, 16 degrees. Morning showers and 20 in Adelaide. Very hot in Perth, 38 degrees there today and 36 in Darwin. Well, human flight has been taken to the next level with an inventor dubbed the real-life Iron Man, breaking speed records with his very own jetpack. British inventor Richard Browning took to the sky above Brighton in England using a body-controlled jet engine to fly at 136 kilometres an hour. The quick flight more than doubled the 2017 world record, which was also held by the futuristic inventor. Well, coming up this morning, schools and homes in lockdown. A suspected gunman shot after going on a rampage in California. The latest from our reporter at the scene. Severe fire danger warnings for New South Wales. We have new details this morning and a new glimpse of baby Archie to mark a royal birthday. Updating our breaking news out of America now. A gunman is in custody after a school shooting shut down an entire suburb in California. Let's go live to Nine's Tim Avia, who's at Santa Clarita for us this morning. And Tim, what's the latest there?
Well, Lizzie, they're still working out exactly what has happened, but what we do know the latest is at least one student has passed away, a female student who was shot early this morning at Saugus High School near Santa Clarita, just north of Los Angeles. It's reported to be a 15-year-old student who was the gunman. He's allegedly gone into several classrooms and shot students there, leaving at least 6 or 7 wounded. So at the moment, we are hearing reports that he is either captured or has been killed by police. The school is now being lifted in lockdown, but there are still a number of students and victims still in hospital in a critical condition. So look, this will unfold, and we'll get more details throughout the morning, and we'll keep you up to date on the Today Show.
Tim Harvey reporting for us from the scene. Thank you very much. Well, New South Wales firefighters are facing another day of severe fire danger as warm, dry and windy conditions put an end to a brief reprieve for bushfire-hit areas of the state. Sarah Stewart is at RFS headquarters for us this morning. And Sarah, why are authorities so concerned about today?
Yeah, good morning to you. Well, they're concerned because of this severe fire danger rating again. And what that means is the temperatures are going to be very warm today, it's going to be very dry, and it's going to be quite windy this afternoon as well. In Sydney, for example, we're going to see temperatures in the low to mid-30s. In our western suburbs, they'll be from the mid to high 30s. Further up the coast, that we could see temperatures around the 37 degrees. That wind will really start to whip up this afternoon. So the danger is that any fires that are still burning, there are around 59 fires still burning across New South Wales. There are 5 at Watch and Act. So any of those fires could whip up this afternoon with that wind. And of course, there is always the danger of new fires. There are 8 regions with a total fire ban today, including Sydney. The RFS Commissioner says the conditions won't be quite as bad as Tuesday, but they are still a real concern. Take a listen.
So again, another widespread geographic area in widespread, very high severe fire dangers. That's why the total fire ban's in place. And unfortunately, it also coincides where the vast majority of our fire activity continues to burn.
The other big warning today, particularly for Sydney, is about the wind. About the smoke. We're being told that it is going to be very poor air quality today because all that smoke is continuing to come down from the fires on the mid-north coast. People with asthma particularly are being told to keep their medication handy, not to go outside and do much exercise until that wind hopefully does blow some of that smoke away later today. Lizzie?
Sarah Stewart there for us at RFS headquarters. Thank you. Well, Sydney's tightening its belt on water use with the next stage of restrictions just months away. The Water Authority is set to upgrade to level 2 by February, when dam levels are forecast to drop to 40%. But the state's water minister hasn't ruled out bringing them in earlier. The move will prevent people from watering their gardens every day and see a permanent ban on sprinklers. Sydney's dam levels are currently sitting at 46.6%. There's a possibility this morning of even more tax cuts to help boost our lethargic economy. Treasurer Josh Frydenberg has indicated the measures may be needed following the biggest drop in the number of Australians in work since 2016. There's been a surprise and disappointment that the election tax cuts earlier this year have failed to give the retail sector any kick along. It's thought a new tax cut could be aimed at middle income earners. Investigators probing the downing of MH17 have released damning phone calls revealing the rebels accused of shooting down the plane spoke with Russian leaders. Those caught on tape allegedly include a top aide to Russian President Vladimir Putin, who is accused of offering political guidance to separatist leaders in the Ukraine. One of the phone calls reveals a rebel claimed he was protecting the interests of Russia after a plane carrying 298 people was shot down over the Ukraine in 2014. Well, the major political parties in the United States are this morning at odds as the fallout from the impeachment hearing cements the political battle lines. The first hearing saw a top US diplomat admit that President Donald Trump directly asked about a Ukrainian investigation into Joe Biden. Mr. Trump has denied that accusation, prompting Republicans to rally behind him.
Nothing happened here. We're not going to impeach this president over this. We're not going to legitimize a hearing where you can only call Democratic witnesses. It's over. It's done for me.
The controversial hearings will resume tomorrow. The Pope has officially replaced George Pell as the Vatican's finance minister as the controversial cardinal appeals his conviction. Pope Francis has appointed fellow Jesuit priest from Spain, who is also the current General Counsellor of the Vatican. It comes just 2 days after the High Court agreed to hear Cardinal Pell's appeal of his sex abuse conviction. Hong Kong is gripped by violence this morning, with protesters filmed disrupting traffic and beating those who confront them. Shocking vision shows protesters punching a passerby who became frustrated with the group amid the fourth day of traffic disruptions. Nearby, militant university students used bricks and block roads, building walls around their university as they tried to deter police. Italy will declare a state of emergency as flooding threatens the canal city of Venice. Tourists are still having a good time, despite parts of the city being under almost 2 metres of water. The highest tides in 50 years, swamping centuries-old buildings, including St Mark's Square. The declaration secures historic funds to try to save precious monuments. Well, he's called Narwhal, and as you're about to see, he's no ordinary puppy. The 10-week-old rescue dog has what appears to be a tiny tail on his head, a strange characteristics that's got vets stumped.
How does this not melt? How does this not melt you? He's just so adorable.
Narwhal, not the unicorn of the sea, but a unicorn puppy.
He's got an extra, what looks like a perfect tail, sitting in the center of his forehead.
He's perfect.
Narwhal was rescued by Rochelle Steffen, the founder of Mac the Pitbull Facebook page and nonprofit that brings life to dogs with special needs. Steffen says the tail is a part of him now.
Why remove it and give him an undue surgery, and then why take away his specialty? He makes everybody smile.
A local veterinarian says they've looked at everything and don't see a reason to remove it.
Doesn't appear to be causing any problems or complications at this time. We went as far as shooting radiographs or x-rays. There are no bony attachments, there are no vertebrae in that what looks to be a tail.
Narwhal isn't even bothered by his extra tail.
Now, if it were in his eyes or if we all thought that it was going to grow, because he's got a normal tail. So if we thought that it was going to grow, then we would address it.
Steffen says he is up for adoption, but she's getting worried.
Part of our concern would be somebody adopting him and wanting to cut the tail off.
She says until the right person comes along, Narwhal is hers.
I don't want to have to break out the mama bear claws and have to hurt somebody if they want to hurt him.
But she is hopeful. He and his tail will find a forever home.
He's going to be pretty spoiled, no matter where he ends up.
The royal family has showered Prince Charles with love on his 71st birthday, with Harry and Meghan releasing a new photo of baby Archie to commemorate the big day. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex posted this adorable photo showing Prince Charles watching on proudly as Harry holds his baby son during Archie's christening in July. Accompanying their photo, the royal couple wrote happy birthday to His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales, Sir Pa, Grandpa. Well, still to come this morning, all of the day's sports news. The Rabbitohs on the hunt for a new leader. St Kilda welcomes back their own inspirational skipper to training. And it's state versus state, hate versus hate in the biggest Aussie fight of the year. The Rabbitohs have a huge leadership hole to fill following the retirement of 3 of their most influential figures. Young forward Liam Knight knows he needs to step up after the departures of Greg Inglis, John Sutton and Sam Burgess.
This year was massive for me to sort of reflect and just throw up, really. And I did that in the pre-season, and a lot of help from the South and Wayne and Sam, and the senior boys sort of pulled me aside and that kind of stuff. So yeah, this year was massive for me, personal growth, and obviously had a pretty successful year on the field, and I was very happy. But like I said, I'm not content with one good year.
South Sydney's season ended at the hands of the Raiders in the preliminary final. St Kilda's youngsters have been put through a gruelling sprint session as the club wraps up week 2 of pre-season. Josh Battle led the charge, the 21-year-old keen to welcome back a handful of fellow defenders, including skipper Jaron Geary, who was struck down by injury this year.
I think we can be a really strong back group next year. Obviously, we've got Robbo coming back, Gears coming back, Webby, they all missed a lot of footy. So, yeah, it'll be good. It'll be tight for spots, so we'll have to work extra hard.
Hawthorn has signed retired duo Brett Delidio and Andy Otten. They'll act as part-time development coaches while playing for Box Hill. Mitchell Starc wants the New South Wales attack, which destroyed Western Australia, reunited in the Test team at the Gabba next Thursday. A 14-man Test squad has been announced, with Joe Burns recalled as opener, a selection which has left many unconvinced. Starc took 6 wickets for the match as the Blues won by 223 runs. Paul Gallen has described his relationship with Barry Hall as genuine hatred after the two faced off at the weigh-in. Despite the height difference, they both weighed in at 102 kilograms for tonight's fight at Margaret Court Arena. The pair will battle it out in what should be Australia's most watched fight this year. Wallabies star Marika Koroibete has claimed the John Eales medal. The winger pipped teammates Samu Karevi and Michael Hooper in the voting to win the prestigious award. Former captain George Gregan was inducted in the Wallaby Hall of Fame. Alex de Minaur believes Australia can go all the way and win the ATP Cup in January. He and Nick Kyrgios have been drawn to play Australia's preliminary matches in Brisbane, and they're desperate to get to the finals in Sydney. The 24-nation tournament is live on the 9 network beginning on January 3. We'll stay with us on 9's Early Edition. All the weather details are coming up right after the break. Taking a look at the weather and around the country today. Brisbane, mostly sunny and 33 degrees. A bit of smoke around this morning before sunny and 32 degrees the top in Sydney. Canberra, mostly sunny, 25. Melbourne, a few showers developing, 18 degrees. Hobart, showers and windy, 16 degrees. Morning showers and 20 degrees in Adelaide. Very hot in Perth today, 38 degrees and 36 the top for Darwin. Tomorrow, Brisbane heading for 35, partly cloudy. Sydney, possible late showers and 24. Canberra, mostly sunny, 25. Melbourne heading for 18, 16 for Hobart, mostly sunny and 21 in Adelaide. Perth, 35. Darwin, 36 degrees. And that is all from me this morning. Now, it's time for Today.